We are really grateful that you're with us this afternoon. My name is Timothy Borch. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UC San Diego, and welcome to our Transfer Thursday webinar. This is a webinar for transfer support for student veterans and military-connected students. And I have the great pleasure of working with our Student Veterans Resource Center and two of our colleagues who help to manage the center. I'll introduce them in just a few moments, but we do have some housekeeping that we would like to go through before we actually go into the presentation proper. This is a webinar and it is being recorded. A copy of the recording will be available on our YouTube channel and can also be easily accessed through our undergraduate admissions events recording page, which we'll show you in a moment. And that's located under the resource section of our website. The Zoom Q&A is enabled. It is available. Please use the Q&A to submit your questions throughout the webinar. Our dedicated staff will be responding to questions, and then there also will be time for live questions at the end of the presentation proper. Due to time constraints, we may not be able to address every question during the session. We will do our best to answer as many as possible. For any unanswered questions, please reach out to our undergraduate admissions department after the event and use the contact us form to submit your question. Closed captioning is available and it has been enabled. So here on this screen, you can see where the events page is on our website. If you go to that events page, you can learn more about different events happening here at UC San Diego. We have a whole menu of events happening this fall for prospective students, so be sure to check it out. Lots of helpful information. And our events recording, you can also see on our page. If you click on under the resources, the event recordings, and they are all posted and available, and the topics run the gamut from admission application to supporting students and transfer students. And so lots of helpful information is available on that tab. And then here is the contact us form that I referred to a little bit earlier. If you have any additional questions, whether it's this afternoon, this weekend, next week, whenever, we are always happy to address any questions that come from prospective students, families, or counselors. And with that, I have the great pleasure of introducing two of our very important partners here at UC San Diego. Nat Kapp serves as the program manager for the Student Veterans Resource Center, and Shannon Barber serves as the program specialist for the Student Veterans Resource Center, and I will pass it over to them.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nat. Sorry, my camera is not working today. A little bit of technical difficulties, but I am, as Timothy said, the program manager for the Veterans Center. I'm a veteran myself. I was in the Navy for 4 years and transitioned to higher ed after I got out. We're here today to talk to you about the kind of support that we offer for our students on campus, where you can go to get your questions answered, and hopefully get some of those questions answered for you today. So thanks for being with us. I'm going to pass it to Shannon to introduce herself.
Hey all, my name is Shannon and I work as the program specialist at the Student Veterans Resource Center. As Nat has said, within our office, we are a mighty team of two, and one of my main responsibilities is making sure that our student staff are in our space and making sure that it is available to our students and community members, as well as helping to run programming and events. So glad that you are here, and I am glad to be here as well. Take it away, Nat.
Awesome. Next slide, please. Thank you. So a little bit about what we do at the Veterans Center. We support our military-connected students' personal, academic, and professional success. In collaboration with campus and community partners, we identify and mitigate barriers while creating and managing programs, services, and initiatives for said military-connected student success. Next slide. Awesome. On campus, what we try to do, we have a really big campus here that has a lot of amazing opportunities, but sometimes it can be difficult to navigate the systems in place. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you when you become a student to get the support and help that you need. One of the ways we do this for prospective students is our direct contact with the Office of Admissions by doing things like this. Timothy is so gracious to offer his time to prospective veteran students to have conversations about best paths to admissions. We have office hours with our Office of Students with Disabilities to try to streamline processes and get students the correct accommodations. We're home to the Student Veterans Organization, which is the student-supported arm of what we do. They have fun social events and are just a great place for community. We have partners in the Career Center, so we make sure that things that are going through the Career Center have military connected student support in mind. We have both student employees that work in our benefits office as well as direct ties to the benefits office, which is actually housed out of the Office of the Registrar, which I'll talk a little bit about in a couple minutes. But we also have this source in financial aid, and we have counseling and psychological services that come into the center weekly for student support forums. We try, like I mentioned, to make sure that you are at the center of everything that we do and make sure it's as easy as possible to navigate the systems at UCSD. Next slide. So, one of the most important aspects of attending college as a military connected student is access to veterans benefits. This is actually handled rather than out of the SVRC, it's handled out of the registrar's office. We have two full-time veterans benefits coordinators on campus, and they have put together a fantastic resource for all students, including prospective students. There is a frequently asked questions page at the link that's on the page, veteransbenefits.ucsd.edu. I would say there's almost 70 questions on there that are really frequently asked for having to do with either Chapter 33 if you're a veteran or a dependent, Chapter 35 if you're a dependent, or say you're a California resident dependent and you're eligible for the CalVet fee waiver. That's something that's also processed there. We can do our best to answer your questions. They are the experts, so this is definitely the repository of information. I'm happy to do my best in this session to answer benefits questions. If you do have benefits questions that we can't answer, contacting the SVRC is likely the best course of action, and we can get you the answers that you're looking for. Next slide, please. Shannon?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nat. So at the SVRC, we want to make sure that the students who are attending UC San Diego feel supported. And some of the ways that we do that is through veteran peer mentors. So for our veteran students, we like to pair you up with another veteran who can help you navigate the often complex often complex, just like student environment here at UC San Diego. They can help you connect with counseling services or with disability services. But to have that person who has been through something similar to what you have been through, we find is very helpful for students. And that is a program that is available to you. As well, we have career programming in our space. We are also a one-stop connection to our campus partners, as Nat was mentioning, whether the benefits office or the Office of Students with Disabilities or the Student Veterans Organization. We want to help you basically get to the individuals that you are looking for. As well, we can connect you to other military connected students. In our space, we have veterans, active duty, ROTC, dependents, allies. And so we want to make sure that you feel that you have a community within our space. And so we are actually located in the original student center above the restaurant Taco Villa. And so students are able to come into our physical space from 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays from 9 to 3. Additionally, we have laptop iClicker rentals as well. which is great if you don't necessarily want to pay to rent one. You can rent one for free with us. We also have a quiet study room and quiet study spaces, as well as free school supplies like testing materials, pens, pencils, journals, and printing. And of course, virtual and in-person support is available through Nat and I. And if you ever wanted to schedule an appointment, you can visit our website at svrc.ucsd.edu. Next slide. Awesome. So we're actually going to just mention our Peer Navigator program again. I did speak about it earlier, but they are veterans who, it is a veteran to veteran program just to make sure that you are as successful as possible at your time at UC San Diego, especially during that transition program, or excuse me, period. Peer Navigators are an excellent resource, and we would hope that if you feel that you would like to be connected with someone, that you would approach us and let us know, yeah, I would like to utilize, this peer-to-peer program so that I can settle into my time here at UC San Diego. Next slide. So we've got a lot of great events that we have here at the SVRC. My slides are a little off, so I can't quite see what is on the left, but I can tell you for a fact that we have lunch and learns where we have companies and community members come in and speak to students, whether about careers or topics that are interesting to our students. With the Triton Transfer Hub, we've got a 25 and up mixer. Nat and I are currently planning our Veterans Week program every day on Veterans Week minus Tuesday. We are going to have some sort of programming going on, whether an ally training for staff or an event geared towards our military connected students. That is another important time for us. We have a Memorial Day remembrance, a welcome aboard for new students, and various events throughout the year, whether vision boards in January to inspire students to continue to chase their goals, or a book fair that we host in February that honors BIPOC service members. So we really appreciate our students and we enjoy having events in the space. And so we are glad to do those things.
So now's your time. I know that was a brief presentation on what we do for our current students, but we also, work a lot with our prospective students, and I know that everybody's admissions journey is a personalized journey. So we wanted to give you time to ask questions. Timothy's here, subject matter expert on admissions. We're here, subject matter experts on, the military connected student experience. So we'll try our best to answer any questions that you have. So feel free to use the Q&A question and feature in the chat. And yeah, I think if there are, questions, maybe we can, Timothy, go over some of the questions that we discussed prior to.
Absolutely. And thank you to the student. And thanks again to Shannon and to Nat for all this helpful information. As mentioned, we work very closely with them both, and in the Student Veterans Resource Center is a key resource for us here on the campus. And thank you for submitting some questions in advance. And as Nat mentioned, we really are not the subject matter experts for the benefits related questions, although our colleague Griselda did put in the chat a link to the website that Nat referred to a little bit earlier, and they have a lot of great information. But I see there are some admissions and other related questions too that were submitted in advance. And I do want to point out that there is a question specifically about applying and identifying. So I want to read the question as it came in. The question reads, how can I highlight or apply my military background when applying to UC San Diego and while studying here? It's a great question. From the admissions standpoint, when you go to submit your application for admission, and it is a UC application, the University of California has one application for all 9 undergraduate campuses. So students can apply to multiple campuses. We have 9 campuses throughout the state. We are as far south as you can go. We are everywhere in between and as far north as Davis and Berkeley. So when you identify which campuses you want to apply to, you would select that campus on the application. The application incidentally opened on August 1st, and the filing period, we're currently underway. The filing period is October 1st through December 1st for fall 2026 admission. UC San Diego is only open for fall term admission. So how do you highlight that in the application? Well, there's a very specific question that will ask you. Are you a veteran, active duty? What is your military connected status? And so we always encourage students who are veterans or active duty or otherwise military connected to check off the box, the proper box, so that we know what your status is. And being an active duty service member or a veteran certainly has added value in the application process. All that comes with being a service member, all the leadership opportunities, all the responsibilities, all the service opportunities, all of those things are taken into account. So definitely, we would highly recommend that you identify on the application for admission when you are asked that question. And that's why we asked the question. It's a University of California question, and we want to understand your experience. Students can also identify and talk more about their experience in the personal insight questions. So every applicant has to respond to 4 questions on the application for admission. And one of those questions deals with leadership. Another question deals with challenges that students have overcome. So that's another opportunity in the application process where a student can talk about their military experience and how they utilize their experience to advance whatever goals they have, what experiences they have that were really enriching, challenges perhaps, and how they overcame those challenges. So to that good question, I would respond in that way. And hopefully that helps a little bit with regard to the application process. I'm not sure, Nat or Shannon, if you wanted to address, they had the question, part of that question was while studying here. So how can they highlight or apply their military background when applying to UC San Diego and while studying at UC San Diego?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. I would say that while studying at UC San Diego, you can highlight your military background by, you're able to get involved with the things that we do at the Student Veterans Resource Center. We have student employment opportunities that you will work directly with the military connected community, whether that's through working our events or working in the benefits office. It's kind of up to you, right? How you choose to own that identity walking around campus. But we are happy to also discuss. We have a lot of conversations in the center about how to help translate military experience into civilian experience, say on your resume, right? So you did 800 hours of maintenance on an MH-60 helicopter. How does that translate to wanting to be a professional engineer? We can help connect with people and kind of brainstorm ways to think about that. But other than that, if I'm gonna answer some of the questions that are coming up in the chat right now. Is the Peer Navigator program only available to students admitted at UCSD? Right now, it is only available to current students. We do outreach to our incoming student class to get them formally enrolled in the Peer Navigator program. However, I would say that I'm happy to connect you with our peer navigator to have that conversation. So you wouldn't be formally enrolled in the program, but we want you to be able to have student experience. So feel free to email us at that email, svrc@ucsd.edu, and we'd love to connect you with Nick. He's our peer navigator this year. He's a Marine Corps veteran, second year transfer. So he's been through everything that you guys are all going through. Are there separate counselors for veterans? When it comes to academic counseling, no, there are not. You're working with your college and within your major. They're really the subject matter experts on, what you need to get done for your school. We do work with each individual college, and there are liaisons within advising teams. for military connected students, but you're not assigned to one specifically. Shannon and I are the student support representatives for veterans. So when when you're trying to navigate the system and you have a question specifically related to your military connectedness, we are the ones to help navigate that system. And, we will reach out to your deans of your college if need be. We're happy to step in as that kind of advising role there. Are there tutors for veterans? We work specifically with the Department of OASIS, which is a partner unit of ours, and they will offer tutoring mostly for lower division math, bio, chemistry, physics, but other than that, not specifically tutoring for veterans. But we do host them in the space. And then Timothy, there's another question in there about preference for admissions.
Thank you, Nat. That's a great question. And so the question was, is there a preference for veterans and or military connected students? And the answer is there is no preference for any particular student. So there's an even playing field for all applicants. But as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a student's veteran status and or active duty status is added value in the application. So again, it entails being a service member entails all kinds of leadership opportunities, all kinds of special talents and skills opportunities. And so we do a comprehensive review here at the university for first year and transfer students, and we take into account all of these different factors. And so it is really important that you identify on the application. Otherwise, we may not know, even if you mention it in the personal insight questions, it is to your advantage to definitely check off the box. We definitely recommend it. But the specific question about preference, there is no preference for any student, any applicant to the University of California.
I saw this question pre-asked, and it kind of touches on that. What we do have is priority in registration. So priority enrollment is reserved for undergraduate veterans, active duty members, and reservists. To receive priority enrollments, what you do is you send a redacted copy of your DD 214 and military ID card to our Veterans Benefits Office. Unfortunately, this isn't available to dependents using VA benefits, only our veterans and service members. And this starts in your second quarter. So all students are assigned the same registration time for their first quarter, their fall quarter at UCSD. But after that quarter, you will get priority enrollment. I'm looking at some other questions.
There's a really, if I may, Nat, there's a great question in here about transfer credit, if I can take a stab.
Yeah,
at that.
absolutely.
So the question is, does UC San Diego offer transfer credit for military coursework or experience? Example, the JST, the Joint Service Transcript. And the answer is, and I'll put a link in the chat that will provide some context. And this is from the University of California Office of the President website. This is UC admissions policy and practice. So I'll put this in the chat. So for UC, so for the military training that comes in and is recorded on a JST, it's not used in the admission process. However, for admitted students, once a student is admitted to UC San Diego, they accept an offer of admission, they need to submit all their official college transcripts or high school transcripts if they're coming in as a first-year student, and they can submit their JST. So if they submit their JST, the JST will be looked at, and the JST can be reviewed to determine if any of the units might be used for elective credit or anything of this nature. And so to answer the question on the admission side, no. Military training is not used or considered as credit. But if a student is admitted and they accept an offer, then it could be evaluated to determine whether or not any of those units will be used. So hopefully that excellent question, and then that link I put in the chat to the University of California website provides a little bit of clarification. It's a good question. It comes up quite a bit.
Olivia, I see your question in the question and answer, and I'll do my best to answer it. So using Veterans Readiness and Employment, you're absolutely able to use that as a benefit at UCSD. And I would recommend applying as soon as you can. Um, it is known to have a long wait, and right now things are a little more complicated with applying for benefits. So, I would get ahead of the game and apply for it as soon as you can. One of the things that will be a challenge, is getting a educational plan. That's something you're going to have to work alongside an advisor, but whichever major you're interested in studying, you could do some research on their page. They typically will publish what their 4-year and 2-year plans are on their website. So, say you can find that 2-year plan, that's something you're able to submit to VRNE to prove your pathways. So, I hope that answers your question. As early as possible is when I would start doing it, just because of the wait times that I know San Diego is one of the more impacted areas when it comes to VRNE. If you have any further questions, go ahead and reach out to us at svrc@ucsd.edu, and we'll chat with our benefits specialists to, get you the best answer possible. Looking at some other questions here.
Nat, there's another question, if I may. It's an admissions related question. It's another excellent question. The question is, are there specific admission pathways or programs for veterans or active duty service members for UC San Diego? And the answer is there are. So there are a couple of different pathways. There's one specific for military connected veterans or active duty, and we call that the University Link program. I'll just highlight that the program is available to eligible students attending a community college in the local area. I will put the link in the chat to the actual website. It's called University Link for students attending a community college in the local area. Those community colleges include Southwestern Community College, Mesa, Miramar and City, San Diego College District, Grossmont and Cuyamaca, which are a part of the Grossmont-Cuyamaca District, Palomar College, Miracosta College, those two are up in the North County, and then Imperial Valley College as well. These are the college partners we have. If a student is active duty or a veteran, they can learn more on our website, but it is a pathway program. It's guaranteed admission to the campus, but not necessarily the major, if the student satisfies the requirements for the program. And so it's not available to students attending community college outside of San Diego. So it is a smaller cohort program, but it is an opportunity for students. If you are in the local area attending a community college and you want to explore what this program is, definitely feel free to check it out. And I'll put my email address in the chat too. So if you have any specific admissions related questions, by all means, you're always welcome to contact me, and I would be happy to help in any way I can.
Timothy, there's another question in the Q&A about submitting their application and more about military credits.
Thank you, Nat. So I do see that question from Edward. So Edward, your question reads, if we already submitted your application and only reflected the transferable credits from the military, but I have more military credits, will there be a consequence if I update my application? Well, if you've already submitted your application, there is no way to actually update your coursework, unfortunately. So that could be a little bit of an issue. Again, I'll put my email in the chat so that we can talk a little bit offline. But once a student has submitted their application, there is no opportunity to update their past academic history. There is a way to confirm your fall 2025 grades and to confirm what you're taking in the spring of 2026, but there is no mechanism to actually update your past grades. The only real opportunity would be to submit a new application. So, but contact me offline and we can explore what options might be available. So, and it's not uncommon for students to submit their application and want to make updates to the application, but there are only a couple things that they can update, really their personal information, like their address, their email address, if their name has changed, things of this nature.
So there's a question in the chat as well about someone enlisting in the National Guard, and what kind of benefits that you qualify for. The largest one that we see students utilizing is what we call Chapter 1606. It's the Montgomery GI Bill Selective Reserve. To be eligible for that, you do need to have had a 6-year service obligation in the selected reserve. You also have to have completed your initial training. You have to have a high school diploma, and you have to stay in good standing while serving. And these benefits will help cover your tuition, it'll offer a stipend to go towards housing. We also have several scholarships available on campus for continuing undergraduate students. So this is a program for, say you are already a student at UCSD. Typically, the applications will open in December. There are a number of them. Many of them are focused on transfer students. A lot of them are focused on engineering students. There is one that's a military veteran scholarship that is open to just transfer military veterans in any capacity or in any major. Also, if you check out our website, we do have a couple links to repositories of scholarship databases for national scholarships. So say you're a dependent student. We have lists of many scholarships open to dependent students, and I would check out there. One other great benefit of using any sort of federal GI Bill benefit is being eligible for what we call VA work study. And this is a program that, as long as you're enrolled in your program over 3/4 time, you qualify to work either at the SVRC or within the Veterans Benefits Office, and you work for California minimum wage, but it is untaxed. So you don't have to worry about any money getting taken out of your paycheck. You don't have to worry about filling out a W-2 or 1099 at the end of the year. It's a great program that, allows us to employ a lot of veteran students and dependent students on campus, while also being at, really high benefit for you. Do reservists and National Guard members receive the same education benefits as active duty service members? Typically, there are some differences between the Montgomery GI Bill for selective reserve components and the post 9/11 GI Bill. These are all questions that definitely dig into the Veterans Benefits website. And if you have any amplifying questions, like I said, you can contact us at our email address, and we'll get you those answers. Does the military help to cover costs for campus housing, books, or study abroad? So this depends on the program that you're in. All of the programs, except for the CalVet fee waiver, so the federal programs do offer some sort of monthly stipend. This depends on your level of eligibility. It depends on which program you're using. Veterans Readiness and Employment, or VRNE, does offer a book stipend for winter and spring. And study abroad programs, that's a little bit challenging. There are some study abroad programs that are supported. Those are called global seminars, but they do have to be proven to be advancing your educational goals. So the classes have to be required. UCEAP, which is the larger one, is not covered by VA benefits. That looks like we hit all of the questions that were pre-asked. Oh, here's one in the Q&A, and it's about University Link, Timothy.
Thank you, Nat. And I was responding to Daniel's good question. So the question is, does University Link really apply to selective majors? And so I'll just go ahead and answer this. So the answer is, you can still apply for University Link for sure, but it doesn't guarantee admission to the major. So for our selective majors, and our selective majors are comprised of all of our public health majors, um, most of our engineering majors, and I'll put a link actually in the chat while we're talking about selective majors. So a selective major, and let me just explain what exactly a selective major is. So it's data science, public health, and also most of our engineering majors. So a selective major is still an open major, but it's selective, meaning it's very competitive because there's a lot of interest, okay? And so what happens is students are not guaranteed admission into any of the selective majors. So University Link doesn't guarantee admission to a selective major. So, but the point is, if a student applies for University Link and they select, let's just say computer science, for instance, which is probably the most competitive selective major we have, or mechanical and aerospace engineering, or public health or data science. So they'll still be reviewed for regular admission. So there's no problem with that. And so Daniel, to your question, you're still going to be reviewed for regular admission, absolutely. But you just, if you satisfy the requirements for the University Link program, the GPA requirement, the timing factors, and the major preparation for your major, you won't be guaranteed admission. So again, University Link it's definitely a pathway for students. It really, students who are interested in a selective major can participate in the program, but they just won't be guaranteed admission. Whereas if a student is interested in a non-selective major, they can definitely take advantage of that program. And if they meet all the requirements, they are in fact guaranteed admission to that major. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Again, I put my email in the chat if you would like to chat a little bit offline. We'd be happy to do that as well. You know, since we're talking a little bit, we have a little bit of time and there are some more questions. So thank you for these questions. If for those of you who are joining us, if you could put in the Q&A, if you're a community college, if you're a transfer student, if you could also just note which community college you're attending. If you're attending a community college, maybe some of you are attending a four-year. I know one of our students mentioned they had attended some courses at Arizona State University. And so if you would be good enough to use the Q&A just to give us a sense of where you're at right now as transfer students, that would be very helpful. And so, okay, very good. Miramar College. And in fact, Nat was at Mesa College very recently, just yesterday, and I was at MCAS Miramar. So we're out in the field recruiting veterans and active duty very actively. So thank you for that information. And it looks like we have another question from Edward. So
so how was the transition from military life to university life? It really varies from person to person. Um, when it comes to veterans struggling academically, our retention rates are pretty tracking for military students and not military affiliated students. I will say, there is a slight decline in graduation rates, but nothing major that is a concern. We actually do see that veteran students that are attending, that are coming to the SVRC do have a slightly higher GPA. But I find it's a strength in our military connected community. There's a sense of, discipline, a sense of, wanting to succeed, wanting to do well, that really carries well to being a student at UC San Diego. So I would encourage you to lean on those strengths and, put in the time and, you know how to do it. So just trust yourself and know that you're going through something that is very challenging. UCSD is a challenging school, and it's something, that you can be insanely proud of when you graduate. But the difference is, there's not a noticeable difference. It's very slight in the retention rates between non-military affiliated students and military affiliated students. And that's actually data that's published by the University of California Office of the President. If you're interested in looking at it, there's a whole a whole database of information that I'd be happy to talk to you about. We do see a lot of our, students in STEM that it's challenging to figure out a work-life balance. One of the things that we talk about a lot with our students is the lack of structure leaving the military. We're going from a very structured environment to an environment where in order to succeed, you have to have a sense of self-startedness, right? Not all faculty is going to hold your hand through the process. You know, there's a lot of things that you're um, going to have to navigate that are challenging to figure out. But that's why we're here to help. And I think that balance is kind of where you find it. So I wouldn't say, you know, I would say a lot of our veteran students are very successful on campus. There's, of course, a learning curve, and, you know, midterm season and final season, you're going to feel a lot less balanced than you normally would. But there are tons of resources on campus to help you settle in. We're happy to help, as I hope, you know, this is conveyed. There's also the Triton Transfer Hub, which is a great community that we work very closely with, that has peer coaches similar to our peer navigators that help transfers navigate what they need to. And they, you know, we want to see you succeed. I hope that answers your question. Other than that, I don't see anything else.
No, absolutely. And we certainly can wrap things up. I know Thursday afternoon, sometimes it's tough for people with busy schedules. So I do want to just, again, really appreciate everybody for being here today and joining us for this webinar. Again, the recording will be available in the coming days on our website. I do want to do another plug for some of our programming coming up next week, and we will be doing as part of National Transfer Student Week, actually, starting on Tuesday, we have a webinar on major preparation. And then on Thursday, as Nat mentioned, a key partner on campus, another key partner, the Triton Transfer Hub, will be featuring a webinar on the Triton Transfer Hub and on the entire menu of services and programs that they provide to students, much like our Student Veterans Resource Center, another key resource for current students here at UC San Diego. And so definitely, if you haven't registered for that webinar, check us out. We would love for you to join us next Thursday at the same time. And again, we'll have some other webinars throughout the week as well. And if you have any questions at all, I did put my email address in the chat. You can let me know, hey, I was in the webinar with the Student Veterans Resource Center for Transfer Thursday. I have some additional questions. As Nat and Shannon mentioned, we want to support you in this effort. And also, some of our very best students are military connected. And so we want to make sure that you know that you're welcome to UC San Diego, that we want you to apply, and we know that you have many choices out there. So hopefully UC San Diego is something that you will consider. And with that, on behalf of our colleagues at the Student Veterans Resource Center, Nat and Shannon, and our colleague behind the scenes, Griselda, who is really the magic making this happen for us, I would like to thank you, and I would like to wish you the best of good fortune in your educational journey. And hopefully, at some point, we will see you at UC San Diego in the future. Have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.